Sorry about that, everybody. My camera stopped at 20 minutes, so I apologize for that. I had to stop it and kind of move forward. Anyway, I was finishing up the number 6, all the negative things about number 6 that could occur. And again, remember, numbers acting, manifesting that way are not inherent in the numbers. It's all about the way we respond and the energy we infuse into the value of those experiences. So anyway, we're 2/3 of the way now through our list of the numbers. Now let's move on to the number 7. Number 7 is the number of science, philosophy, metaphysics, any kind of deep intellectual process and study. It's the number of mysticism. It's the number of religious study, priesthood, shamanism, any kind of deep involvement with much more theoretical and abstracted thought. So people with number 7 are deeply sensitive to the deeper layers beyond the surfaces of the world's experience. They look to see the paradigms, the artifices, the structures that are the underpinnings of everything either constructed in experience or constructed in human thought, okay? So you also have scientists, philosophers, doctors, and other kinds of people who need to abstract and to symbologize experience in order to understand it and manipulate it and gather a deeper understanding of the dynamics of the processes at work. So again, number 7s are philosophers, thinkers, and artists, poets, metaphysicians, and all kinds of other people dabbling in the deeper, darker, sometimes darker, not always, sometimes seeking more illumination through introspection and analysis, okay? The negative sides of the number 7 can tend to be aloofness, coldness, insensitivity to the more common lower vibrational interests at work in the world. It tends to can be condescending, can be dismissive of other simpler forms of knowledge. It tends to appreciate more hierarchical understandings. So number 7 tends to seek the elevation of the human condition through deeper thought and the elevation of human perception, human knowledge, and human expression. Okay, so again, number 7s can be suicidal because they get oversensitized to abstracted information and input. They can be susceptible to darker energies because they respond to much more subtler forms of energy. So they can be manipulative of others by using their analytical powers to dominate and domineer over others. So we got to guard against that. If you have the letters either P, G, or Y in your name in excess, okay, or number 7 on the birth path. But it can be a very illuminating and insightful experience under the number 7 too. So it's a question of, again, of how things manifest, all right? So got number 7. Now we move to the number 8. Number 8 is the number of personal authority, okay? It's the doubling of the number 4. So it is that earthy discipline energy of number 4 intensified and doubled. So people with the number 8 tend to be the leaders, the generals, okay, the administrators, the people in positions of power and authority over institutions, systems, and processes, okay? So people with number 8 are great with money. They're great managers of money. They're great at making money. It's the number of the industrialist, of the capitalist, of the investor. People with the number 8 are always looking to implement the disciplines of number 4 in its grosser form, and through the subtler and more intuitive and knowledgeable and experienced power of personal authority and insight, they manifest it more, and they are the builders of the financial empires of the world, okay, in its most extreme form. If it's manifesting at a lower level of vibration, it still means good use of money and understanding of efficient use of resources and assets and values for the greater good of one's personal well-being and the well-being of the people interconnected with it. But they're natural leaders, executives, and organizers of large enterprises, okay? In the negative, you see, again, the same qualities you have of some of the other numbers that can be, because they feel sometimes in the negative that they are superior to other people because of their own personal authority. They tend to be intolerant of lesser vibrations that they find get in the way of their pursuits of these larger activities, okay? So they got to guard against that. They need to be generous with themselves. They can be squanderers of fortune, people whose ego feed into the paradigm of the money-making process and overindulge and waste and figure that the money will always be there, so they exaggerate, and especially if the other numbers are influencing that behavior, like the number 5, where sensuality and the quest for more exotic experience comes, that people have the resources, they may indulge themselves more in those resources and squander their natural talent to foster and to be good stewards of of real estate, of finances, and of other material assets that they have through their own enterprise and hard work, and manage to let those resources do the work for them. But when in negative form, it gets away from them and they can squander great fortunes. You have that happening a lot with people who earn a lot of money. They make fortunes and they lose them because of arrogance and because of mismanagement and laziness after the achievement of those goals of money and resources. So they have to guard against that. That's the negative aspect of number 8. Finally, we reach the number 9. If number 1 is the number of self, number 9 is its corollarily opposite number. It's selflessness. Number 9 is the humanitarian impulse. It's the number of selflessness. It's the number of surrender to others. It's the number of accommodation. In a lot of ways, it's like the number 2, but with higher aspirational vibrations. Number 9 understands the human condition. It wants to acknowledge the sorrows and the sufferings of others. It empathizes with the downtrodden, the disenfranchised, the disheartened. And in that respect, it's very much like the number 6, okay? But number 9 is a very high vibration of humanity. It's the number in which all the other numbers come together and coalesce. Now, an interesting thing you can do numerologically, just to prove this point, is that number 9 being selfless, number 9 disappears when you add it to the other numbers. So if you take 9 and add it to any other number, the number will always reduce to the number that 9 is mirroring. 9 is like a mirror of the energy of the number that comes into contact with it. So if you add 9 plus 7, you get 16, right? Reduce it to 1 and 6, you're back to the number 7. 9 disappears and the original contacting vibration elevates and steps up. Number 9 with the number 4. 9 and 4, 13. 1 and 3 is 4. Again, you reduce it, 9 disappears, and the leftover vibration is the number 4. So sometimes people with the number 9 in their name, and those are reflected by the letters I and R, okay? I didn't mention number 8's letters, did I? Number 8 is the letter H, the letter Q, and the letter Z, okay? And I don't know if I did number 7, did I? Did I do G, P, and Y? No, I didn't mention that. I'm sorry, I'm screwing up here. I've been getting so far ahead of myself. But let's get back to number 9. It's the letters I and R. But number 9 people, again, like I said, you have a lot of I's and R's, 9s in your name, or you have 9s on your birthday, okay, in your birth path, 18s, 9s, 27s, things that reduce to 9. You are have a humanitarian spirit. You have a larger desire to do things for the betterment of human life, okay? There's a desire to open up your heart and to give to others, to be with others, and to be an agent of generosity of self and spirit for the well-being of the group and others. Sometimes the number 9 will suffer because oftentimes the number is so sacrificial, so giving of itself, that its own needs are ignored for the sake of the needs of others. And number 9 has to guard against that, because it's very easy when you're number 9 to think of others to put others first ahead of yourself. And you can harm yourself. So if you have that number 9 strongly in your chart, you want to always remember to treat yourself well first as well, while being able to give. You can do both. You don't have to surrender identity of yourself for the sake of others at your own emotional and spiritual expense. Okay? The negative side of number 9 is that you are selfless to a fault, where you're almost have a martyr complex, where you have no desire, but you want to achieve selfishness through selflessness. And so there's no discrimination between one quality of experience and another. The desire is to just be available to other energies for the sake of not being isolated or ignored. And you can often become a doormat for other people, or you can always scatter energy so much to the detriment of yourself that it becomes dangerous and harmful to your own interests and your own energy. So you got to watch that with the number 9 too. That's always a very big risk. Anyway, we've completed the 9 numbers. Those are the basic numbers. So take a piece of paper out and write down each of the number vibrations, 1 through 9. Take your full name, middle and last name, front, middle, and last. Put the number over each letter represented by that letter. Then total up the number of each of those numbers under each of those vibes and put it in your list of chart to see how strong you have a number, how weak you have a number, or if a number is non-existent, okay? And do the same thing for the birthday to see which numbers are in parts of your birthday. Now, I'm not going to go into the birth paths and destiny numbers and then what the numbers mean in total when we add like the vowels together or the consonants together. That's another layer of numerological information I'm going to cover in other videos. But as a basic foundational thing, just to kind of see where you're at and where the distribution of these vibrations are in your own name, please take a little piece of paper like I told you and do what I just said, and you'll get a good foundational sense of where you are. Now, another thing I want to say, and before I conclude here and wrap this thing up, is that what I tend to find, and you'll probably tend to find, and if you find it in more people, is that when you do the numbers of your name, oftentimes you're going to see that numbers that are deficient in your name show up on your birthday, in your birth life path, they call it, all right? And this goes to show you that you're here to learn an experience that you've been weak or deficient in your previous incarnations. So if the feminine energy is diminished in you, is not strongly understood, or isn't a strength brought from a previous life, you will find that in your birth path, you may find an encounter with the number 2 somewhere, or number 11, or number 20, or number 29. That's the numerical, those are all higher numerical equivalents that tend to show up in birth paths, okay, on birthdays. So it means that during the transit of that part of your life, that experience is going to be dominant. And it could be a source of conflict for you if you've always avoided that energy in previous lifetimes. So see which numbers are strong, which you're heavily overloaded with, which means that they're a strength, or almost to a point of exaggeration. And you got to guarantee, you got to watch out against that, because when a number is exaggerated in your name, that may override other energies that you need to focus on in order to balance out your personality and your karmic chart, okay, so to speak, of mastery of all the experiences, okay? So another thing I'd like to say is the fewer numbers manifested in your name means the younger your soul is. In other words, if you have 6 or 5 of the numbers, but you're missing 3 or 4 of the others, that indicates a young soul, a soul that has fewer incarnations than a person who has numbers reflected, a quantity of numbers reflected across the board in all 9 numbers in their name. So that tends to be the case. Now, and the corollary is that if you have every vibration, you may be a very old soul who comes to this life and may be bored with this life because you already have all the experiences. That's another danger sign to be looking out for, because it's easy to be dismissive of experience experience when your soul has already experienced all the different human kinds of experiences as reflected in the numbers in your birth, in your name from previous incarnations. So that's another thing to look out for. Do you have not enough vibrations of certain numbers or none? Do you have too many of one and not others? Which is the strength? How do these interactions affect you? And then how do they show up manifested in your birthday? Okay? So, there's a lot of other layers of things I'm going to be looking forward to explaining and involving you in future videos, which I hope you will enjoy. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll share this video with other people. I hope you'll make comments, and I will answer your comments. And I look forward to sharing more numerological experience on this amazing journey through the world of numbers. I hope it's piqued your interest and encourage you to look not just through my videos, but other people's videos to learn more about this remarkable way of understanding our human journey. And I did mention the master numbers. Before I close up, a couple of other things. The master numbers are called 11 and 22 because they vibrate at higher levels. People, if you have this number, either 11 or 22 on your birth path, or if you have a lot of K's or V's in your name, that means that there is a added spiritual quality and elevated vibrational effect on the course of your name or on your birthday, which means you have the potential to manifest in a much more elevated way. If you do not manifest those master numbers as master numbers, where you take on larger causes, international concerns, inspired actions, they will reduce to their basic number of 4 or 2. So I just throw those out as added little pieces of information to look for in your own name because they are master numbers. Now, finally, I would like to mention this. And again, thank you for being here for part of it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I'm not too yucky or too tiresome. But then again, I digress. I would like to mention, though, that I am, besides being a numerologist, I am a poet, okay? And I do have a book of my collected poems. It's pretty substantial. I've been writing poetry for over 50 years, and this is my collective poems. The title of the book is called The Au Revoir of an Enormous Us, and I hope you'll consider checking it out. It's available at Amazon.com or at BarnesandNoble.com. And as an added thing, besides all kinds of poems about my personal experiences, about literary subjects, journeys, travels, imaginative exercises and literary exercises. There is a whole section of this book for you people who are interested in metaphysics and the occult called The Arcane Reveries, okay? And it's all about their kind of poetic, meditative pieces on the major arcana of the tarot card. So numerology figures in very heavily in the tarot card deck, and I will be going into that in other episodes. But if you're curious, and I would appreciate you checking out my book. I'm very proud of it. It's a whole lifetime of work, and if you're even remotely interested in poetry or other kinds of writing which deal with the imagination, with experience, with the human condition, I hope you'll take a look at my book at Amazon or at BarnesandNoble.com. And again, the title, The Au Revoir of an Enormous Us. And again, all my friends out there, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Again, subscribe, like, share, comment. I remember this too. You only live once at a time. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. God bless you. And hey, it's all in the numbers, baby. Talk to you soon.